In this lecture, we will be learning how to install ROS 2 Foxy on Windows 10. This is a fresh install of Windows 10, so I have nothing except the default programs installed. With a browser open, I will navigate to the ROS Foxy installation page. Once here, I will select the Windows option under the Binary Packages section. Please be careful as to not select the Windows option in the Build from Source section, as building ROS 2 from source can take several hours to compile. There are three main steps to installing ROS 2 on our Windows machine: installing prerequisites, installing ROS 2, and setting up our environment. The first is installing our prerequisites. The first prerequisite is a package manager called Choco. We can head over to the website. In this case, I will right-click on it and open the link in a new tab. Navigate to the Install Now button, and then we will need to run commands in a Windows PowerShell with administrator privileges. So I will go ahead and right-click on the Windows logo in the bottom left of the screen and hit Windows PowerShell Admin. You will be prompted to allow the app to make changes to your device. Hit Yes. Now, this part is optional, but the blue background of the PowerShell with the white text can be hard to look at. I will right-click on the top bar of the PowerShell, select Properties, go to the Colors tab, and with Screen Background selected, I will choose the black background color and hit OK. Now for this to take effect, I will clear the screen, and now we can see our new PowerShell color, which is now a black background with white text, which is generally easier to see for students. Now we will run this command to install our Choco package manager. So I'll hit the Copy to Clipboard button, and then to paste it into our PowerShell, simply right-click, and it pastes the command into it. You can go ahead and hit Enter. For the most part, we can disregard most of the warning messages which appear. You can check to see if it is installed by running the Choco command. And here in green text, we can see we are running Choco version 10.15. Don't worry if your version is slightly different than mine. Next, we'll move on to installing Python. So within our PowerShell, we will now run this command to use our Choco package manager, which we just installed, to install version 3.83 of Python. So first I'll just clear the screen, and we will right-click to paste the command, hit Enter, and we can see that it is now installing Python. Please note that if you have another version of Python or an environment manager like Anaconda installed, these installation versions may conflict with each other. Alright, our Python 3 has been installed, and we can double check by closing this PowerShell and opening a new one. And typing in Python -- version. And here we can see our Python is version 3.83. You can also verify that Python was installed in the correct directory by opening our File Explorer, going to this PC, going into our C drive, and we can see our Python 38 folder. Now we will install our C++ redistributables with this command. So I'll right-click in our PowerShell and Enter. And after a while, we can see it has downloaded and installed. Next, we will move on to installing OpenSSL. I'll right-click on the link here and head over to that tab. Scroll down to the Download section. Do not download the light version. Make sure to get the full version of OpenSSL, which here is the second entry. So I will select the exe link to download. Once the exe is downloaded, we can go ahead and run it by clicking on it. We will be prompted to allow this app to make changes to our device. We'll hit Yes. We will go ahead and accept the license agreement and then leave the destination folder as the default. Hit next, and we will hit install. Okay, great. So we finished installing OpenSSL. I'll uncheck the donation tab and hit finish. And so now that it is installed, we have to set up our environment and path variables. So to set up our environment variable, I will run this command here, Control C, and I will go ahead and clear this terminal so you can see what I'm currently doing. You can hit right click, enter, and it says success, our specified value is saved. Then in the Windows search bar, search for environment variables. In the Advanced tab, click the Environment Variables button towards the bottom right. Then, in the System Variables section, we will click on our path, and we will click on Edit. We will create a new entry within our Environment Variables list, and we will copy our installation of our OpenSSL, which is right here. We can copy it using Control C, and under our new tab, hit Control V, and we've pasted it in. In case you need to confirm that this is indeed the location of our OpenSSL, you can open a File Explorer, go to this PC, Local Disk, Program Files, OpenSSL, and we can indeed see that the file locations match. I'll go ahead and hit OK on both windows, or all three windows. Next, we will install Visual Studio 2019. I will not be using Visual Studio as a code editor, but ROS needs all the Visual C++ features that come with it. So we will head over to the Downloads page. I can go ahead and close our OpenSSL webpage, and we will download the free Community Edition of Visual Studio 2019. So I'll click on the Download button, and we can see that it begins downloading. Once it finishes downloading, we can go ahead and launch the exe, hit yes to allow the app to make changes, hit continue, and it will begin downloading. When we get to the workload section, we will select the Desktop Development with C++ option. In the right, we can configure what gets installed to go along with this Desktop Development C++. We will uncheck the C++ CMake tools for Windows, as we will be installing CMake later on manually. With that, I will go ahead and hit Install, and Visual Studio will begin downloading and installing our packages. This installation will take a while, so feel free to pause the video and come back once it finishes installing on your machine. Okay, with that, our Visual Studio installed. So I'll go ahead and close this. I'll go ahead and exit Visual Studio, close, and I will close the Download tab, and go on to the next step. We will not use other DDS implementations in this course, so we can skip this step and move on to installing OpenCV. OpenCV is a popular computer vision framework, and we will be using it in the services project. We will go ahead and download the precompiled version of OpenCV from the provided link. This download may take a while depending on your internet speed. Alright, with that, we can go ahead and click on it, Show in Folder. And so here we can see it in our Downloads folder. So we will have to unzip OpenCV, which we can do by right-clicking on the file and selecting the Extract All option. We will extract it here in our Downloads folder, so I'll just hit Extract. Once it finishes extracting, we will take the OpenCV folder and copy it over to our C drive directory. So I'll click on the folder, copy it with Control C, then in the left pane under my PC, click on my local disk C drive, and simply paste it right here. So that now we have our OpenCV folder in our C directory, which is mentioned within the install directions. Now we will have to set our environment variable. So we'll go ahead and copy this command, and I will paste it into our PowerShell by right-clicking. And we can see that our specified value was saved. And then we will again have to go into our environment variables, select Path and System Variables, Edit, and this time we will add our OpenCV bin directory to our path environment variable. So hit New and paste this in, like so, and hit OK on all of the windows. Now we can go ahead and install other ROS dependencies. So the first one we'll be installing is our CMake. So we will do choco install CMake, which I will do by pasting into this PowerShell, hitting enter. If you end up with an error stating that CMake cannot be found, that simply means you need to restart your PowerShell. So I will go ahead and close this one that we have open. Right click on Windows, click Windows PowerShell Admin, select Yes. We will move this over to the right, and we will rerun the same command, choco install y CMake. We will paste it in with right click and hit enter. And here we can see now it is downloading. Okay, and now just as we did with OpenSSL and OpenCV, we'll have to go in and change our environment variables. So go into our path, click Edit, and here we will go ahead and copy the location to our CMake bin folder. So I'll go ahead and copy this, go back to our environment variables, hit New, paste it in, and as usual we can check to make sure this is the proper file path by opening our File Explorer, going to this PC, C, Program Files, here we can see our CMake and bin folder. So I'll hit OK on all of these windows. Now into installing the other dependencies. We'll navigate to the link and download the 7 packages listed. So I will go ahead and install our ASIO, our Bullet, CUnit, Eigen, Log 10.0, and the 2 TinyXML packages. If I go Show Folder, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 packages, which are the ones listed here. Once these packages are downloaded, we'll open our PowerShell, which we have here. I'll go ahead and clear the screen. And we will use Choco to install these packages. So we'll go ahead and copy this command. We'll paste it into our PowerShell. And before we run it, we need to change our path to our downloads folder right here. And to get your path to your downloads folder, simply using your File Explorer, click on one of the files you just downloaded, right click on it, select Properties, and here under the Location section, you can see the file path to this file. So I'll go ahead and copy this, and we can paste it here in this portion of the command, and now we can go ahead and run this. Once it is finished installing, we will also need to install our Python dependencies. So I'll go ahead and close this PowerShell because we will need to refresh it since changes have been made to our environment variables. I'll go ahead and close the downloads folder for now. We will open a new PowerShell as admin, and we will run this Python installation command. Hit enter. Alright, so our command ran with errors. So I will go ahead and try to upgrade my pip to see if this solves my issue. Using the command here, Control-Shift-C, and then paste it in with the right mouse button. Don't include the apostrophes. We will go ahead and hit enter. Alright, now that we are running a new version of pip, I'll go ahead and clear the screen, and I will try to rerun our installation command. So I'll just simply hit the up arrow 3 times and hit enter. And here we can see this time it successfully ran without any errors. So I'll go ahead and clear the screen. We will also need to install the RQT dependencies. So I will copy those as well here. So I'll hit Control-C and paste it in using the right click and hit enter. Alright, and now I'll go ahead and install GraphViz using Choco. And I will go ahead and hit Y, enter. Alright, now we need to include GraphViz to our environment variables. So as we've done before, we'll go ahead and open them up. Go to our path, edit, and we will use this as our path. Oh, it looks like it depends on our version of GraphViz, so I'll go ahead and open up our File Explorer. I'll go to this PC, our C drive. So here it's installed in our program files directory. So I'll go ahead and click on this, click on our bin folder, and I'll just click on any file here, click on properties, and I'll just get the location. So this is the location of our GraphViz. So I will Control-C to copy, and OK. I'll minimize this and go back to our environment variables, create a new path, and paste it in. And there you see we have included our GraphViz. So I'll go ahead and hit OK on all 3 windows. Now, with all these steps finally out of the way, let's get to actually installing ROS Foxy. We will head over to the releases page and select the most recent version of ROS 2 Foxy Fitzroy. In this case, for me, it is patch release 4. So I'll go ahead and click on my assets drop down, and I will select the Windows release version. Don't download the Windows debug version. Depending on your internet, this may take some time to download. So feel free to pause the video here and come back once you've finished your download. Alright, our download has finished. Now we'll have to extract the files. So I'll go to Show into Folder, and I will right click and hit Extract All. Now rather than extracting it here, I will actually extract it into a folder called Dev in our C file directory. I'll go ahead and hit Extract. And note, this will take a while since the folder is very large. So feel free to pause the video and come back once yours is finished extracting. Once it is finished extracting, we can see our extracted folder. We will go ahead and change the name of our folder from ROS Windows to ROS2 _ Foxy. Great, we have finally installed ROS. I'm going to go ahead and close all these windows now. We'll close our PowerShell. I will close this last window. And now, to run ROS, we can go ahead and open up a command prompt, typing cmd, and we can source it using this command here. So this allows our command prompt to see our ROS installation. Alright, we get a warning message, but we can just ignore it for now. So I'll go ahead and clear the screen. Once sourced, we can try to run example nodes. Here's the command for running an example publisher node called Talker. You'll go ahead and run this node in the command prompt. And here we see messages being published titled Hello World. We can then open a second command prompt and run a second subscriber node called Listener, as shown here. And it says ROS2 is unable to recognize this command. That is because we need to source our terminal environment every time we open a new command prompt. So I'll go ahead and rerun this command right here. We'll clear the screen, and I will try to run my listener again. And this time, we see our listener receiving the messages from our publisher node here up above. Here you can see it is matching in the correlating topics. Congratulations! With that, you have successfully configured your Windows machine to be able to run ROS2. As a side note, to stop running the nodes that are currently running in these terminals, you can simply click on the terminal and hit Ctrl-C, which will take us back to our prompt. And you can go ahead and close these windows. Congratulations! You have successfully installed ROS. Feel free to look over the ROS2 documentation website pages for more information if you are interested. But with that, let's move on to installing our code editor.